Welcome to this month's short. The general topic is helmets. I decided to introduce the Jingasa used by Ashigaru. As can be seen in the image on the screen, these were conical-shaped helmets typically worn by foot soldiers on the battlefield. There are a number of headgear types that use the word Jingasa, such as the Bajo Jingasa, and a number with Gasa or Kasa in the name. But for this video, I am limiting it to just this one. I am also not covering other types of headgear an Ashigaru may have had. One thing to remember is that armies were not uniform and standardized until the late 16th century, and even then, some were so earlier than others. They did so at varying rates. So it's not as if all of a sudden Japan was full of standardized, uniform standing armies. The Jingasa could be made of a number of materials. However, hardened and lacquered leather, or even better, lacquered iron, were typically preferred. In the Zohyo Monogatari, a guidebook manual of sorts for Ashigaru, there is a part that talks about how each Ashigaru and each servant had a Jingasa. This document is from the mid-17th century, supposedly based on experiences of late 16th and early 17th century Ashigaru. I believe mostly from the Sekigahara, Osaka, and Shimabara campaigns. So the material in it would typically be from a period when armies were more standardized. It was common for a Jingasa to also have cloth hanging from the back and sides, as in this picture. This would provide extra protection from the elements. In a pinch, the cloth could also be used for other purposes, such as bandages or crude water filter and so on. Of course, the primary use of a helmet is for protection. The Jingasa, though, seems like it would provide little protection other than against overhead strikes. And even then, there is still the blunt force impact that could cause damage or even death. There is some talk about the use of moving the Yachty Pike up and down by Ashigaru in mass formations to try to cut or kind of bash the other Ashigaru over the head. There is also doubt about whether this tactic was actually used all that much or not. However, Ashigaru could not afford to armor themselves to the level that some samurai could, and lords who issued armor were usually not going to pay for it either. So the Jingasa was usually better than nothing. The Jingasa could also be used as a form of identification. As armies began to get more standardized, it was common for an Ashigaru to have the kamon, or crest, of the lord they served on their Jingasa. Granted, this was not always done, even in the late 16th century, and the farther you go back in the Sengoku period, the less common it becomes. However, it was an important use of the Jingasa when it was done. In the chaos of the battlefield, these kamon provided quick means to minimize, although not completely eliminate, friendly fire situations. It could also be used as a tool when an army was encamped as well, especially if it were made out of iron. The following images are from the aforementioned Zohyo Monogatari, although these are not exhaustive as to the other uses of the Jingasa. One use was that they could be used to feed or water a lord's horse. As shown here, things could be carried in the helmet. Although this image shows this specific use, one could carry other smaller objects in it as well. Another use, shown in this picture, from the same document, was for cooking, or preparing medicine, or tea, and such. Turn it upside down and hang it over fire, and you have a basic pot in which to boil things. Although this would not be something I would think they would want to do often. Continued exposure to fire would damage the lacquer, if it was lacquered, and would also risk warping the Jingasa if it was made from iron, which would be the ones that you would use as a pot. So this seems like a use that technically could be done if you don't have any other options. Perhaps one of the more unusual potential, and I stress potential, uses of the Jingasa was as a shield and weapon. This comes from the 17th century martial arts school called Yagyu Shingan-ryu. I am not aware of this use in any historical document or iconography outside of this Ryuha, but Yagyu Shingan-ryu does teach how to use a Jingasa almost like a European buckler, and as a striking weapon. Even though I'm not sure if it exists outside of the school, I thought it was kind of interesting as a potential use, so I thought I'd throw it in here. I hope you found this short video informative. Please consider leaving a comment, rating, and sharing. If you like to be kept informed of new videos, I would also appreciate you considering subscribing and clicking the bell icon. There are also links in the description to follow the channel on social media. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. I hope you'll come back for the next one. For now, farewell and take care.